Imagine a silent machine quietly sabotaging your health every single day without you ever noticing. Impossible, you might think. And yet in the still cold of your refrigerator lie 9 everyday foods that react poorly to low temperatures. Foods most seniors continue to store there without knowing the consequences. This isn't just about taste or texture. It's about harmful chemical reactions, major nutritional losses, and in some cases, real microbiological risks. What's most alarming is that nearly 100% of people over 60 still make these mistakes, unaware of how deeply they affect their heart, their digestion, and even their brain. Before we go any further, feel free to subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Today, we finally lift the veil on these misconceptions and reveal the scientific truth behind the 9 foods you should never refrigerate. And I can guarantee that number 2 will surprise you more than all the others. Chapter 1: Potatoes. Refrigerating potatoes triggers a surprising reaction. Under cold temperatures, their starch rapidly converts into sugar, a process known as cold-induced sweetening. This often overlooked mechanism alters the tuber far more than most people realize. When these potatoes are later cooked at high temperatures, those sugars react with certain amino acids and form a compound called acrylamide, considered potentially carcinogenic. It's a detail that seems minor, yet it truly affects the quality of the final dish. In just 2 weeks, the sugar content can triple, the texture becomes grainy, and the flavor takes on an odd sweetness that makes recipes less enjoyable. Cooking also becomes inconsistent, as the flesh reacts differently after prolonged cold exposure. To store them properly, keep potatoes in a dark, slightly cool place, around 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, in a paper bag or basket that allows proper airflow. And most importantly, keep them away from onions, as the two accelerate each other's deterioration. If you enjoy these practical tips, don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming advice. Chapter 2. Bread. Counterintuitive as it may seem, cold temperatures actually speed up the staling of bread. The reason is simple. At low temperatures, starch molecules crystallize more rapidly and push out moisture, leaving the crumb dry and crumbly. This process happens even when the bread is well wrapped, because its internal structure keeps transforming. Tests show that bread dries out nearly 6 times faster in the refrigerator than at room temperature, which explains why it loses its softness so quickly when stored in the cold. To preserve its softness, keep bread in a bread box or a paper bag, which allows air to circulate while preventing excess moisture. This is the best way to maintain its natural freshness for a few days. And if you can't finish it in time, slice it and freeze it. This method prevents waste and keeps its texture intact. Going straight from the freezer to the toaster gives you a result almost identical to fresh bread, a warm crumb with a lightly crisp crust. Chapter 3. Honey is one of the few foods that almost never spoils, yet cold temperatures can ruin it. Refrigeration accelerates crystallization, alters its texture, and introduces moisture each time the jar is open. This moisture reduces its antimicrobial properties and damages some of its beneficial compounds, including the enzymes and antioxidants that make honey so valuable. Over time, it can even lose part of its natural aroma. Store it at room temperature in an airtight container, away from direct sunlight, to preserve both its flavor and nutritional qualities. A kitchen shelf or cupboard is more than enough. And if your honey crystallizes anyway, simply place the jar in warm water to restore its smoothness, a gentle method that keeps its properties intact. Chapter 4. Coffee is extremely absorbent. When placed in the refrigerator, it draws in the odors of surrounding foods, instantly altering its aroma. Even faint smells can settle into the beans and change their final flavor. In addition, repeated shifts from cold to warm create condensation on the beans, damaging their essential oils and encouraging mold growth. Over time, this causes coffee to lose its freshness, intensity, and aromatic complexity. Store your coffee in a dark, airtight container at room temperature. In small quantities you'll consume quickly. This preserves its natural notes and protects it from light and humidity. The freezer can be useful for long-term storage, but only if you divide the beans into small portions that you open just once. avoiding the repeated temperature changes that degrade their quality. This method keeps your coffee as flavorful as possible, even after several weeks. Chapter 5. Garlic Refrigerating. Garlic creates a double problem. First, it begins to sprout, which alters its flavor and can irritate digestion. The sprouts make the taste more bitter, and the garlic gradually loses its aromatic strength. Second, the humidity inside the fridge promotes the growth of potentially toxic mold, which develops quietly between the cloves and compromises their safety. Over time, the texture also becomes softer, a clear sign that it's degrading faster than it should. Garlic should be stored in a dry, well-ventilated place at around 60 degrees Fahrenheit to preserve its full strength and natural aroma. A small open basket or a clay pot allows ideal air circulation. Once the bulb is opened, use the cloves within 10 days to enjoy their full benefits, as they begin to lose intensity as soon as they're exposed to air. Chapter 6. Bananas. Bananas are tropical fruits that cannot tolerate the cold. Refrigeration triggers what's known as chilling injury, which damages their cells, causes rapid blackening, and drastically reduces their vitamin C content. The peel darkens while the inside sometimes remains firm, a clear sign that the natural ripening process has been disrupted. Even the flavor can become dull as the aromas no longer develop properly. Let them ripen at room temperature and hang them if possible to avoid impacts that speed up the appearance of brown spots. This simple method also reduces contact points, helping them last a little longer. To speed up ripening, place them in a paper bag with an apple, as the ethylene it releases stimulates the process. To slow it down, wrap each stem with plastic film, which limits the spread of ethylene between the fruits and preserves their freshness for a bit more time. Chapter 7. Onions. Onions cannot tolerate excessive humidity or cold. In the refrigerator, moisture slips between the layers and triggers the growth of mold that can produce dangerous toxins. Over time, these microorganisms can spread to the center of the bulb without being immediately visible. At the same time, the cold converts their starch into sugar, altering their flavor and making their texture soft and slightly mushy, a change that affects their culinary quality and their ability to caramelize properly. Keep onions in a dry, cool, well-ventilated place, never in a plastic bag which traps moisture. An open basket, a mesh bag, or a slightly ventilated cupboard are all excellent options to preserve their firmness. And most importantly, do not store them near potatoes, as the two spoil each other by releasing gases that accelerate one another's deterioration. Chapter 8. Tomatoes. This may be the most overlooked mistake of all. Cold temperatures literally deactivate the genes responsible for a tomato's aroma. Even once brought back to room temperature, those genes do not reactivate, making the loss irreversible. Their flavor fades, their texture turns mealy, and many of their antioxidants, including valuable lycopene, become far less usable by the body. This is why a perfectly ripe tomato can seem flat and scentless after a simple stay in the refrigerator, as if it had lost its identity. Keep tomatoes at room temperature, stem side down, in a bright place without direct sunlight so they retain their full aroma and nutrients. This position limits air entry and slows their natural deterioration. In this way, they continue to ripen gently and develop their optimal flavor, just as they would if they were still on the vine. Chapter 9. Avocados. Avocados are the most delicate fruit on this list. Cold temperatures interrupt their ripening, oxidize their healthy fats, and destroy nearly all their antioxidants within just a few days. Their flesh loses its creamy texture, becomes stringy, and develops a bitter taste due to the overactivation of certain enzymes. Their color may even turn gray, a clear sign that oxidation has deeply compromised their quality. Even a firm avocado can deteriorate quickly if refrigerated too early. Keep them at room temperature until they're fully ripe, allowing their flavors to develop naturally. Once they reach perfect ripeness, you can refrigerate them only if you plan to eat them within 24 hours. If you need to store half an avocado, leave the pit in place, brush the flesh with lemon juice, and place it in an airtight container with a small piece of onion to limit oxidation. This combination significantly slows browning and preserves their smooth texture a bit longer. The myth that everything belongs in the refrigerator has led to years of waste, nutritional loss, and even hidden health risks. By simply changing the way you store these 9 foods, you protect not only their flavor, but more importantly, your health. To support the channel and discover more essential tips, consider subscribing before you go.